Hey, welcome back to the Push the Pass Podcast Nation. I am Josh Roberts, and right over here to my, I don't know if it's left or right, is Michael Monroe. He's rare and ready to go. Derik is on assignment today, so he's not going to be on the show. But we do have a jam-packed show for you. We're going to be reviewing the Streets of Markham this past weekend, the chaos that happened there with unorganization and those hairpin turns and those corners that aren't rounded. And then we are going to get on to the Freedom 250 because it's going to be in the nation's capital this coming Sunday. So, Michael, how's your week been?
Well, it's been pretty good. Uneventful so far, but it's just Monday, so we'll have to see what happens going forward here in just a few days. It's a very, very busy week for me. I know it's very busy for you too, so let's go ahead and get this show on the road tonight.
Yeah. So our first topic of the show is disorganization. I don't know if it's on the if it was on the sponsor or the organizer that didn't have it ready to go, or if it's partially on IndyCar, partially on the promoter. I mean, me and you and Derik talked about it on Friday. They didn't have practice on Friday because, surprise, surprise, they didn't have the street ready. They didn't have the course fully set up and ready to go. I'm not exactly sure if it was any particular part of it, but just it wasn't ready to go. And this is egg on IndyCar's face. I mean, I know it wasn't on a national television, channel, but it was on. I believe it was supposed to be on FS1, and that's a relatively available channel to a lot of people. So, if you tuned in on Friday wanting to get your first look of Markham, all you were going to see was forklifts driving barricades around and workers getting stuff put in place. On a scale of 1 to 10, Michael, how big of a pie to the face is this for IndyCar with Markham making its debut, and on Friday they didn't even have the track ready to go?
Yeah, it's definitely a letdown for the fans that were there that wanted to see the cars on track. If I give it a rating scale, I would probably give it 7 or 8 out of 10. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Your racetrack is supposed to be ready to go days before cars get there. So I don't know what happened, what the confusion was, where the confusion was, why the track was not close to being ready. But I think we started hearing about this last Wednesday. The track walk was canceled. Bob Pockris put that out. So it's just a bad look all around. And IndyCar is going to get the blunt of it. It's not their fault. I guess technically kind of is their fault, but they have to work with the promoter of the race to make sure those things are put into place before anyone gets there. And this was just a lack of oversight, I would say. And they just have to get better about it for next year.
Yeah, I mean, in my short knowledge of the of IndyCar, I don't ever remember there being like a street course or a road course that, I guess road courses are different than street courses because road courses are pretty much maintained 365 days a year, all 12 months, because you have different things that are on there. But street courses are, they're going through the actual streets that normal people drive their Hondas and Fords. And I don't know if Canada has any other weird car manufacturers up there. So, I mean, it is interesting that, they knew about this Wednesday, and come Friday, they still weren't ready to go. That had to have been very very irritating to the drivers, to the pit crews, to team owners. I mean, a team owner has got to be looking at Doug Bowles and going, "Hey, what in the world? Why was this track not ready? We need some answers." And uh, is there a penalty against the promoter because the track wasn't ready? That would be some good questions I'd like to ask Doug, Mr. Bowles, if I ever had a chance to, if he ever come on. And Doug, you're more than welcome. You have an open invitation. Just shoot us an email, and I'll drop everything I can, and we'll even do a pre-taped interview. That's a plug to get Doug Bowles on here, but that would be fantastic to know. It just with this being a new track and nobody ever racing on it. They probably needed every hour they could in that car, every second to navigate some of those turns and get a sense of what the track was going to feel like. Because as we talk about later, there were some concerns that were brought up by the drivers that caused some problems later on Sunday. So not a good look for. Not a good look for the series to debuting in Markham and up in Canada, just outside of Toronto. So we'll have to see if there's any. I'll look and see if there's any other information that comes out of why the track wasn't ready or set up to go. Yeah. And any other words of wisdom or anything you could tell me about, or your concerns, your irritations over the fact the track wasn't ready?
I guess the biggest thing when you look at it from that side of, the team owners and drivers and things is it costs a lot of money to get to Canada, trucks, team members, things. And it was just an extra day that, was a waste of money on their part as far as hotels and, sponsorship, activation and things of that nature. So, just the cost aspect. I mean, the teams are losing money to an extent when you don't have action on the track, and the fans lose out. They lost a day of action on the racetrack as well. I know IndyCar did get both practices in, but if you're there on Friday, you want to see cars on the track, and when you're there Saturday, I mean, you want 3 days of cars on the track. And I hate 2-day shows. I think 3-day shows are not only do you get the fans out there, but you can get your sponsors, the activation, and you can get different drivers involved in different events outside in the community. So 3-day shows are good for me. I don't like 2-day shows. So I think probably next year this is a moot point. I think they would maybe they had some issues that weren't really disclosed, and now they have those figured out. So hopefully next year goes a little bit smoother than this year.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have to wait another almost 365 days to that. Moving on to our next topic, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. The first 14 laps. What did you see in those first 14 laps, or what didn't you see in those first 14 laps?
The first 14 laps, I thought, oh no, this is not going to be a good race. I think we kind of touched a little bit on it in our group chat. It was just kind of like follow the leader. No real good passes were happening. So I think once we got that caution with Mick Schumacher, and we'll talk about him here in a few minutes. Once we got that going, that was chaos became. So, yeah, what's your take on those first 14 laps before Mick binned it?
Yeah, I mean, it was looking like a big follow the leader race was getting ready to happen, and it brings up the fact of those first 14 laps, and then what happened after that caution lap kind of reminds me of something we talked about last week, and I was not a big fan of, but it's a possibility to. But throwing that caution, it bunched all those cars up, and once those cars were all bunched up, we got much better racing. So you may be onto an idea of throwing a caution lap happen halfway through a race or some particular point in the race. if they feel like it's becoming too much of a follow the leader type of race. But I mean, I hate to admit that I was wrong, but you might be onto something about that. I mean, I know it would create it would take the advantage that the leader would have away, but it would create more interesting races because no doubt. I mean, there was 90 laps in this race, and those first 14 were terrible, and the last how does that 76 laps. We had some passes. They were rubbing. Alex Palou cut down someone's tire and didn't get a penalty. To the amazement of the people of Buxton and Hinchcliffe and the third announcer. I can't remember who it is. It's probably somebody that I should know.
Townsend Bell.
There we go. They were all amazed that he didn't get a penalty for that for unnecessary contact. But it definitely those first 14 laps were just god awfully dreadful, just boring. It was follow the leader. Nobody was taking any chances. But once those first 14 laps were done and Mick bit the dust and wrecked his car, it was Katie barred the door. Everybody was passing everybody and just going as fast as they could and trying to take those turns, as close as they could. Which will take us into the next topic about turns on the walls. Did you have anything else about those first 14 laps, Michael?
Well, I just wanted to touch on something because it's been talked about a lot on the NASCAR side of things, and I want to get your opinion because you kind of touch bases on it with the cautions and kind of. I want your opinion on stages in IndyCar. Now, take it this way. I'll give you an example. Louis Foster yesterday had arguably the fastest car, if not the second fastest car. And we'll talk about it in our next topic, but he got awarded like 4 points. If you had stages, and this is where we're at here in NASCAR land, because I was a big opponent of, I don't know that I like stage racing or stage points and things of that nature, but Louis Foster probably could have walked away with about 24 or 25 points yesterday instead of the 4 or 5 points that he got for his finish. Do you think that that's something that IndyCar should look at? And I say that because the racing kind of gets strung out, especially on road and street courses. And it kind of would throw a little bit of excitement into it. And I hate to say that because you take the purist out of the race. But at the same time, in our day and age, the attention span is 15 seconds to like 2 minutes. Why do you think TikTok is so successful and all these reels and YouTube shorts and things of that nature? Because it's quick. And some of these Alex Palou, dominating races, or Kyle Kirkwood street races, they just kind of get like follow the leader and they're strung out, and Fox doesn't do a good enough job, covering the mid pack to look for those battles. So they're just talking about the same 4 or 5 drivers that are 15 seconds ahead. So I'd like to get your take on that.
So before I give you my take, I need some help from you. So because I don't follow NASCAR as much as I used to. When they went to the stage racing, I haven't watched much of a race other than the Daytona 500. So in stage racing, it's halfway through the race, or at some particular point. So they freeze them, or
they throw a caution. Basically, it's kind of basically what we talked about. They throw a green and white checkered flag, and they award the top 10 drivers points. First place getting 10, 10th place getting 1 point, and you can do the math to figure out where we're at there. So it's just an estimated number. So like sometimes they're 200, if the race is 200 laps, they might do like 65, lap 65, lap 115 or 120, and those are your stage breaks. And it was brought to us, it was sold to us, I should say, as, well, it will give TV time for their commercial breaks to get those out of the way. And I don't necessarily agree that help matters, but I think it would, I think that would bring some more strategy into the series, because right now there are some races where I always am like, can we just get to the first pit stop? Because once we get there, it kind of like opens up the strategy in the field a little bit. But up until that first pit stop, I mean, there's sometimes it's 30, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. It's 30, 35 laps, and Alex Palou's got a 12-second lead already. So, or whoever. It doesn't. I'm picking on Alex, but it doesn't have to be Alex. It can be whoever's leading the race. But yeah, that's kind of how the stages work.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I guess, I mean, it would increase the viewership. It may increase the viewership. It may make it to where we don't have, the problem that we have now where, Palou's basically got the Astro Cup locked up. Nobody's going to be able to catch him in the next 4 races unless he has 3 DNFs. And even then he could have a fantastic Laguna Seca and still win the cup. But I mean, I guess they could do it on a trial basis. Maybe try it out in a couple, a street race or a street race or a road course. I wouldn't say do you think they should do it in the ovals? Because I feel like the ovals are a little bit more enjoyable. I mean, the purists would just have a fit if you did that. If you did that at Indy on Sunday on the 500,
I would say that is the one race you could exempt is the Indy 500, but any other race, oval or not, because you get sometimes where, I go back to some of those Joseph Newgarden Iowa wins, and there's 7 cars on the lead lap, and that's a dominant performance. We shouldn't take anything away from what Joseph did in those races, but at the same time, like, if I, catch the race late and, I'm as an average fan, 15 or 20 laps in, and you've got, you've already caught the tail of the field and you've put, 4 or 5 cars a lap down and it doesn't look like there's a caution in sight. I can watch something else for a little bit.
At the stage break, does everyone go back on the lead lap, or do you still stay down however many laps you're down?
So in NASCAR, they do a wave around. So the wave around policy is obviously if the leaders pit, and this is where it could get exciting as well. If the leaders pit and you stay out and you're a lap down and you're obviously ahead of the leaders, you're between so you got the pace car, you got these lap down cars, and then you got the leader. Those lap down cars would then circle back around and be on the lead lap. And then they're hoping that maybe a caution comes out, 10 or 15 laps, and then they can pit. They're back on the lead lap. So that's how that works.
It could throw. I mean, you could, that would be. I'm just talking about like maybe the ones they're like multiple laps down. They don't all? Not everybody. If you're multiple laps down, you don't get back on the lead lap. Correct?
No, you would just get. So if you're in that wave around position, you get one of your laps back. So if you're 1 lap down, you'd be back on the lead lap. If you're 2 laps down, you go 1 lap down. If you're 10 laps down, you go back 9. Vice versa. Not everyone that's in between gets their, everything wiped out. It's, you just get 1 lap back.
It'd be crazy to me. I'd put everybody back on the lead lap. Could you imagine? Listen to this. In my scenario, let's say somebody goes out, hits the wall in lap 6, damages their car, but they know at lap, 37, they're going to throw a thing. You have that many laps to get your car back, and you get back on the track. You start at the tail end. And somebody crashes earlier in the race, and then you somehow can fix your car, and you get back up and you win. That would be just fantastic to me. But I know that would never happen.
You would piss so many people off unless it was their driver. obviously.
Yeah. But I mean, it's an exciting aspect you could bring to the races.
It's something, because right now and yesterday's is not a good example, but like some of those street races, Mid Ohio, for example, nothing happens at Mid Ohio. The corn grows, but that's about it. So yeah, we could talk on that topic all night, but we got to find some way to make the racing a little bit more exciting on a week in and week out basis. But something that made the racing exciting yesterday was these walls that weren't rounded. And Washington, D.C., the walls are going to be rounded, but these were just long rectangle blocks that you see kind of on the interstate. And they kind of come at an angle. You got another 90-degree angle. So there's kind of a point. Yeah. And unfortunately, Mick Schumacher got one of the points. And then Louis Foster decided he wanted one too. And then Kyle Kirkwood he was wanting the last one. 3 strikes, you're out the old ball game. And 3 drivers went home with crashed up race cars. But I want your take on that.
I mean, I think it was either Foster or Kirkwood is the one that brought up the fact, because I wouldn't have known anything about the what the corners look like, because there's tarps on them. So I mean, it was either Foster or Kirkwood that came out and said
it was Foster.
Okay, yeah, I thought maybe it was Foster, but yeah. Foster came out and he said, the drivers talked about this. I mean, these drivers, they push it to the limit, and those corners, he said, we told them, if we can't, they're like millimeters next, crossing over that same. It was, I think they all bid it on the same corner, and millimeters off those walls, and if you just catch that one edge, it destroys your entire day. Foster was blazing through. He wasn't in the lead when he was going for the lead when he crashed, but he was just having such a fantastic day. And for him to hit that, just nick that wall, and that wall not be rounded like they wanted it to be, and like it'll be in Washington, it's just so heartbreaking for him. Just that centimeter or that millimeter, just catching that tire and then forcing them off and losing control. And then Kirkwood, I mean, if you saw Kirkwood's crash, that was terrible. He hit it, and then the two front wheels just were like wobbly. I mean, he blew both tires blew. It looked like that car had hit a wall. And I mean, it did hit a wall, but it just, I don't know if if the drivers knew ahead of time going into the race that they were going to be like that. And they brought that fact up to them, or to IndyCar, or if it was when they first got there, like you said, they canceled the track walk. And then the track wasn't ready on Friday, but I would imagine they were able to see that these corners were how that is. So, I hope next year they can make it to where those corners are rounded, to where if they hit those corners, that they just brush off of it and not catch their tires. So it's very disappointing. I was hoping Louis Foster would. I mean, he was having a heck of a weekend. He got the pole. His car was fast. If he wouldn't have caught that, I think he would have been up there competing for the win with Ericsson. What's your thought on these?
I think it's unfortunate that he hit the wall, and his hit was hard. I mean, that car stopped sudden, and I'm glad he's okay. But on the flip side of things, 22 other drivers didn't hit the wall. So, the drivers can talk about it, but at the same time, if they're there, you should probably give yourself a little bit more of a margin of error, and especially how fast his car was. Like, that's my thing. Like, it reminded me of Colton Herta at Nashville. the first or second year when they were on the streets downtown. And Colton Herta had the fastest car. I mean, he could have raced to Indy and back and still won that race, but he got a penalty, got stuck back. Did he get a penalty, or was it he either got a penalty or it was a slow pit stop? With Andretti, it probably was a slow pit stop. But he got mired back in traffic, and he just kind of lost his mind, and he just, bend it. And I kind of feel like that was how Louis Foster kind of was as well, because he's making some aggressive moves, and he just kind of, he could have taken his time. I mean, there was still a lot of racing left, and he could have taken his time to make his moves. And I think he just kind of misjudged it, and he caught that wall, obviously, and ended his race. So I just, sometimes the best thing to do is slow down and live to fight another corner. And he just was making some aggressive moves, and it bit him.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. He could have slowed down, but you got to put yourself in Foster's shoes. I mean, he's not had the best of seasons. He's having a fantastic weekend. He feels like he's got to push it to the limits. I mean, I don't blame him. For sending it full sail. But it was unfortunate that those three drivers, Mick being your driver, you went out on a limb and took Mick, and then
great qualifying effort. And I'm like, okay, Mick, just finish the race.
Yeah,
come on, first caution, 14 laps.
We both took rookies this week, and mine was able to finish, and yours just wasn't able to do it. And neither of us were able to win. We'll get to that later. But one heck of a race for Mick Schumacher race weekend up until he crashed. So our next topic is that hairpin turn. I don't think I've ever seen, and I guess maybe I just don't pay attention enough. I have never seen a turn to where you can almost drift. You could almost drift that corner, and a lot of drivers did sometimes with the assistance of other cars hitting them from the back. But have you ever seen a turn that was that challenging? And when they were making up that turn, I mean, they had to think that was going to be chaos, especially going into the very first time they were going to go into that with all those cars. Just that's a dangerous turn. What do you think of that turn?
The closest thing it reminds me of is the hairpin at Monaco, but Monaco is not as forgiving because you have like this much room. At least IndyCar gave them a little bit of a runoff there. So that was helpful, but I think it's probably the best turn in IndyCar. If I'm being honest, it made for a lot of passing, a lot of bold moves. Marcus Ericsson passed Alex Palou going into the hairpin there towards the end of the race, and that was a very gutsy move. He also shoulder checked his teammate, Will Power, in the hairpin. And there are some crashes in the hairpin as well. Nolan Siegel decided that Newgarden was in his way, pushed him around. There's just a lot of action there. It's probably, like I said, I think it's best turn in IndyCar. I think we need more of them.
You think Power and Ericsson maybe had a talk after the race? Because I know they were both trying to go after Palou, and it was like they hit each other, and one of them's like, "We're trying to get Palou," or "I'm trying to get to Palou. What is he doing?" I think that may have been Power that was like that. But you think those two had a little bit of a talk after that?
No, I think it's just, good hard racing. I think it's just teammates, they're trying to win. Will Power hasn't had a great year. Ericsson hasn't has had a better year. Actually, they announced a stat yesterday that Ericsson has the third most laps led this year, which I found to be incredible. Got that contract extension with Andretti for next year, and he goes out and wins the race. So maybe they just sign him for like a 1 day thing. Every time he signs a contract, maybe he'll win a race. But man, hats off to Ericsson there. He raced probably the best race of his career, and that spans Formula One as well.
Even better than his 500 win.
Yeah. It may not It might not.
I gotta admit, I was rooting for Grosjean just because I wanted to come on here and get your take on Dale Coyne finally winning a race.
Hey,
and Grosjean finally.
Grosjean
finally winning a race after the drought.
Great job from Dale Coyne and the strategy. I mean, that wasn't strategy. That was straight up. And he stayed out there and got that position. But when he held the position. He held up Alex Palou. I mean, he was battling, and it was great to see. And we've seen sparks of that from Dale Coyne Racing last year with Rinus VeeKay. And Romain Grosjean a few years ago, he almost won out at Laguna Seca. So it might be one to watch the season finale, Romain Grosjean, because the performance he put on yesterday was one hell of a performance.
Yeah. I mean, if it was either Grosjean or Ericsson, both of them were going to snap a long drought of wins. I think I saw today Ericsson snapped a 63 race winless streak. So that was fantastic for him. Excited for him, and he was on a local radio show here this morning with Jay Query, who's part of the radio crew for you'll hear every time. And interesting enough, Jake was doing the race from here in Indy. He did it via satellite, as they used to say. But one thing I learned about Ericsson was he's partnered with Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, and every race he has a different hat that was designed by one of the children, which was really cool. And so although I wanted Grosjean to win, I was excited after I heard that. I was like, you know what, Ericsson deserved the win. So either one of them deserved it, but I'm happy that Ericsson won.
Yeah, it had been Romain Grosjean's first win in IndyCar, and it would have been his first win. He never had a win in Formula One, so it had been his first win in IndyCar. So, I mean, two former Formula One drivers battling for the win in IndyCar is pretty spectacular.
So we move from brilliant moves of Grosjean and Ericsson to win the race to some a dumb move by Marcus Armstrong. The AMR safety crew, if none of you have ever heard it, they are the safety crew that go out there after all the crashes, and they get the track ready, and when they are on the track, they are head honcho. Doug Bowles doesn't tell them what to do. They tell Doug Bowles what to do. And Armstrong decided he was above them, and he got penalized for it. I want to say it was the last caution. One of the AMR safety crew was telling him to stop, and he decided he was going to go. And how big of a bonehead move is that? You think he heard from it? You think he had to go to the trailer and talk to some people after that, and he's going to be missing some money?
I think he should be lighter in the pocketbook for sure. Not only did he not listen to the AMR safety team, which, if you're old school IndyCar, every once in a while I still call them the Halmatro safety team. So that's old school, but man, that was just a boneheaded move. I mean, the guy, the AMR safety, member is literally he's got his hand up because the entire field is coming, and then he decides to kind of loop it. Poor job at that. He almost hits the safety car, which is the Honda Civic Type R. So what are we doing here? Can't be crashing up the Civics. And then it causes issues with Rinus VeeKay stalling, Scott McLaughlin stalling. So just a boneheaded move. And yeah, I definitely believe that he should definitely be lighter in the pocketbook, because just a blatant disregard for safety.
Yeah, those men and women that are on that AMR safety crew, they go out there and they they're literally out there while race cars are going by, which is not only loud but also dangerous. So they put themselves on the line, their lives on the line, and for Armstrong to go out there and do that, it's just dumb. I mean, I would imagine his team owner probably ripped him a new one, because his team owner is probably going to get his butt reamed also. So just a boneheaded move. Why would you do that? I mean, it's not like you can't say I did. Like he could say, "Oh, I didn't see him." He was standing right in front of him. And then he almost took out the pace car, which would have caused a lot more issues.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, we can't be crashing the Civics. But staying in the hairpin, I want your opinion, because you kind of talked about it a few minutes ago, and in Townsend Bell, Hinch, they were all kind of questioning it too. Rossi's tire got cut off the front wing of Alex Palou's car, and I want to know, in your opinion, is that worth a penalty? And then I'll give you my thoughts.
The long and short of it, no, I don't think it is. I think they were jockeying for position, and I think Palou Palou's not a dirty driver by any means, so I don't think he did it on purpose. I think you have to bring intent into this also. It was a mishap. It happened. Now, he'll probably be given a warning. Hey, next time you do this, we're probably going to penalize you. But on this particular one, we didn't, just because of your track record. You're not a dirty driver. You don't go out there and bump and bang with a lot of drivers. That's mainly because he's always ahead of most of them all the time. He's not in that position where he's racing, wheel to wheel with somebody. But in my humble opinion, I don't think he deserved a penalty, and I think IndyCar got it right.
So you don't think that falls under the realm of avoidable contact? Is that what you're saying?
I don't ever. I mean, that's a borderline. You're going into that hairpin turn. One car's going. You're racing for position, and I don't think it was unavoidable. I think that just the two drivers of how they were going, and they were both jockeying for position. I don't think it was unavoidable. I don't think it was avoidable. Sorry, I got confused. What about you?
So I'm trying to pull the official rule in the rule book, but I'm going to use AI because that's what we're supposed to be doing now. So according to AI, the NTT INDYCAR avoidable contact penalty is Rule 9.3.3, which states the overtaking driver holds primary responsibility for avoiding contact while overtaking a driver, while the overtaking driver has a secondary responsibility. Let's see. It says here, the aggressor or the passing car must execute the pass safely. Failing to do so triggers a review by INDYCAR officiating. So my question is, and that's the AI version. I don't necessarily know what the actual 9.93 says, but what is the difference between, say he went in there and he turned him instead? Like he just bumped his right rear tire and spun him out instead of clipping his right front tire and causing the flat tire, which then proceeded to bring him down pit road. And that's where I think Hinch and Buxton were in the position of, is no matter what happened there, whether it was the flat tire that, Pelot's, wing clipped, what's the difference between that, him having to come down pit road and put new tires on? What's the difference between that and spinning him out? He probably lost more time with the wing cutting the tire than he would have if he just spun him out.
I guess if I'm looking at it, I'm just trying to think. Pelot was on the inside, correct, or was Pelot on the outside? I'm not.
Pelot was passing on the inside.
So I guess the difference is if Rossi Rossi's on the outside and Pelot, I mean, they were almost side by side, and I almost feel like Rossi, like, kind of, I know he's turning in. I know he's turning in, kind of like he drove down into Pelot a little bit. Pelot was taking the risk of trying to undercut him. If Pelot would have, if Rossi was ahead and Pelot would have went into the back of him, I don't know how to explain this. I have it in my head. It's just like they're both going into the turn even, and he cuts his tire. That's different. That's I think that's unavoidable. But I think if Rossi's ahead of him by a substantial margin, and they're going in, and he takes him out from the back, then that would be avoidable, because Pelot could have let up off the gas then and let him go by and then get there, if that makes any sense. No?
It seems like when Pelot makes a mistake, we go back to the Nolan Siegel Alex Pelot situation. It just kind of seems like he just kind of gets away with stuff. And, I know we sit here and we talk about how clean of a racer he is. And, he is pretty clean for the most part. But at the same time, I'm trying to pull the replay as well, and I'm not skilled enough to see if I can share my screen or not. Oh yeah. It's one of those situations where I don't know. Like, I feel like Pelot initiated the contact, and he caused another driver to have an issue. And I feel that should be, at some point, that should warrant a penalty, because that driver's day is ruined because of something you created. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. But I'm going to bring up a fact that you're not going to like. Pelot has how many Astro Cups? How many does Rossi have? He gets the benefit of the doubt. He's the best driver in the series. Michael Jordan in his day got away with a lot more than other guys did because he was the best player. I know it's not fair. It's not agreeable with a lot of people. But when you are the best at what you do in a series or just in a sports series in general, you're going to get away with more than a less accomplished driver. It's a simple fact. IndyCar is going to look at it and go, "That's our golden goose. That's the driver that's the best in our series. He brings." I don't know if I would have to see what the statistics are when he's leading, for viewership, or if we were to take Alex Palou out of the series, would the series go ratings go down? I don't know if that's true. It could go up because you'd have other people winning, but he's the best. He's the best at what he does, so he's going to get a little more leeway than a Mick Schumacher or a Dennis Hauger are going to get.
The rule book is there for a reason, and it should be applied to every driver, whether you have 5 Astro Cups, 4 Astro Cups, and no Astro Cups, if you're a rookie or not. But I think I figured this out, how to put this on the screen. Let's go ahead. I'm going to try it now. Oh, gosh. Me and technology aren't the best, so bear with me here. I'm going to try and unmute
Lucas. So here you go, side by side in the hairpin. There's the contact. It just barely has the front wing scratch.
I'm surprised that cut the tire down.
I'm shocked.
I don't know. Did you need to see that again, or
can we see that again? Because it would have been better if they'd have done it in.
Yeah, it's not a very long video. I can't find an actual video of just the incident, but yeah, we'll play that.
That contact has punctured the right front. He's holding up everybody, Malukas. So here you go, side by side in the hairpin. There's the contact. It just barely has the front wing scratch.
I'm surprised that cut the tire down.
I'm shocked.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Rules are rules that should be applied to everybody, but it was a judgment call by IndyCar, and they felt that that the way they were racing, and especially on that turn, that Alex Palou didn't do anything wrong.
I just think
Alexander Rossi may disagree. His entire team may disagree, but
I disagree because, I mean, it's not like he was completely alongside of him, or I mean, I'll go to an F1 rule. To complete a pass, you must be, side by side completely. Your front axle must be ahead. Whoever's front axle is further ahead is allowed the apex of the corner, and you can clearly state that Alexander Rossi's car front axle was ahead of Palou's. So I believe it's an avoidable contact. I'm 100%. I think you could poll all 3 of the guys in the booth, and if they watched it, I think they even brought it up on the broadcast. I think it should have been an avoidable contact penalty, but it wasn't called, and that's another good topic that we got to debate this evening.
I'm with them that I can't believe that little bit of a contact punctured that tire. That's cut that tire down. I almost wonder if that tire was just ready to go at that particular point. Was it going to go at any minute?
We've been walking down pit road and seen how sharp those things are. Carbon fiber sharp.
Yeah, that's true. So, well, I mean, Palou was given the benefit of the doubt. He may not be given the benefit of the doubt if that happens later on, in the series down the road in the next 4 or 5 races.
Technically 4 weekends left, so that's why it's a little confusing, because we have the doubleheader there at Milwaukee. But speaking of the race and the strategy, I thought the strategy, the difference in strategies, the way the cautions fell there, it brought out for some good strategy calls. What was your thoughts there? And then I have a complaint as well.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. Especially the tires, like the soft tires, were having problems. Typically, those soft tires are the better, faster tires, but it didn't seem like they were lasting or giving as good as grip as those hard tires. Uh, So, I mean, the strategies were interesting, especially with the way the cautions came out. We had crash 'em up cars this past weekend with all the cautions that came out. Kirkwood hitting that wall really hard cut down on some of the laps. So, I know the guys were questioning. I think they were questioning Ericsson's crew chief, and he said they were good to go even with cautions, and they were a little doubtful, but it ended up Ericsson had the correct pit strategy and strategy for the race that ended up winning it for him. What's your complaint?
My complaint is the soft tires last way too long. They just last way too long. I think they should last for a maximum 10 to 15 laps, but those things were lasting the entire field run, 30, 31, 32 laps. So soft tires need to last considerably shorter of an amount of time. That way it brings, we talk about how to make the racing more exciting. If those soft tires, are softer and they don't last as long, 10, 15 laps before they really start to die off, and you start seeing that considerable time loss. That's when you get, we got a caution with like 17 laps to go, and you have a driver that's like, well, I have a brand new set of softs. I'll just come down and throw those on and see what kind of moves we can make. I think that's what the soft tires should be. I think Firestone right now is way too conservative on the tires. I feel like they have the Goodyear problem in NASCAR. They don't want these tires to blow. Can't have flat tires, because then it makes our tires that we sell on Monday through Saturday. No one's going to buy our Firestone tires because the IndyCar tire exploded. So yes, any normal person can realize that the two different tires. One is made for race cars and one is made for my passenger car. So I just think the soft tires last way too long.
Yeah. That's I definitely can tell you that's what it is. Firestone doesn't want their tires being known to they want them to last. So that's why they make them so good. They don't want them to fail, and then for some I don't associate Firestone with their tires are terrible. Are terrible because they blew out on Alexander Rossi or Polo's car. I don't care about that. I don't ever think I buy Firestone tires for my truck. So I have I don't buy M&M. I didn't buy M&Ms because Kyle Busch was winning all the time. I bought M&Ms because they were good. So I mean, if Kyle Busch would have lost, I would have still ate M&Ms even though it was on the car.
See, I was the flip side of things when I'm still big into racing, but when I was 10, 11, big Kevin Harvick fan, of course I try to con my mom into buying a Chevrolet because, Kevin drove a Chevrolet, and, I conned my mom into buying Purdue chicken because he was sponsored by Purdue Farms, and, Hershey's because Kevin was sponsored by Hershey's. We did not buy M&Ms at my house because they were not a sponsor of Kevin Harvick. I don't know how many payday bars I've eaten over the years because they were proud sponsor of Kevin Harvick and the number 21 Payday Chevrolet. I used to be able to sit there and tell you every single sponsor that was listed on the Richard Childress Racing website that was under the 29 car. I was really, really dedicated to learning as much as I possibly could about racing when I was a kid. And still to this day, I like to learn every every little nook and cranny that I can about racing. I don't have as much time now as I did when I was a kid, but I definitely still like to learn as much as possible about it.
I'll admit I love the Hooters car because I liked Hooters, but Hooters is going away, unfortunately. I'm very sad about that. But well, any other thing you got about Markham? Any other interesting tidbits or anything that caught your eye about Markham?
It's just a very interesting layout track. Obviously, we like the hairpin. I actually liked the track. I liked the race. Back to the split pit road. That wasn't really talked about much. It was briefly talked about. Kind of the same pit road there at Detroit, where you have cars pitting on both sides. It didn't seem to cause any issues, like at Detroit, where there's that one pit stop. You come in and you just right there. That first pit stop on the right-hand side is pretty gnarly at Detroit, but it didn't really. Obviously, I wasn't at the track, so I couldn't really see if there was any issues there, but looked like they had plenty of room. And I believe our next race, they have a split pit road as well, but I'm not 100% certain. I think we'll have to wait a couple of days to figure that out. But yeah, that's really all I could take away from Markham. Was a really good race, part race, part destruction derby. So I liked it. I thought the aggression was good. I thought the chaos was good. It was just overall, I thought if I had to give it a grade, I'd give it an A-, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we both agreed that it was probably the best race of the year. Outside of the 500, it was the best race of the year.
I honestly believe it was better than the 500, if I'm being honest. Just with the amount of strategy and chaos and calamity there was, I honestly believe it's the best race of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the 500 just because that was Rosenquist and how he came back and won that race was fantastic. But
it's
yeah,
just because you picked him.
Hey, I was sweating it out in the media a lot. I think in the media thing, sweating it out. So it was a good race, but a solid A. I won't even give Markham an A-. I'll give him an A. For Sunday, the overall, with Friday being a debacle, I'll give that's going to bring him down to about a B+, but I'll give him an A for the Sunday race.
I think the race put it over the top. I think if we didn't have the Friday problem, I think it would have been A+ all the way around. But our next topic is, we pretty much already got we might as well just polish off the Astro Cup now. And like I said in our group chat, just take it to Washington and have, whether you like them or not, have the president present it to Alex Palou. I think it would be a great photo op. I think it would be great for the series. But at the same time, anything can happen still because it is racing. But I'm pretty sure we can already just go ahead and whether it's at Washington or where we go after Washington is Milwaukee. Is that where we go after it? I think we go to Milwaukee.
I think we go to Milwaukee double, and then I know Laguna Seca is the last. I can't remember what's the one right before Laguna Seca.
I'm going to look right now and see. So we have Washington. Oh, no. That's it.
So it was only 4 races?
That's it. 4 races left. Four
3
races,
weekends.
3 weeks. That's it. Wow. Season's ending real soon.
They want to get it done before the NFL because they know they can't run up against the NFL. They'll have 7 people watching, and 3 of them will be their Push the Pass podcast people.
Well, they can't run. Well, don't forget David Land; he'll be there too. But you can't run. You can't run IndyCar.
Tony Donahue will be also.
Yeah, well, you can't run IndyCar at 1 o'clock on Fox with the NFL, so that's part of the problem there. Yeah, we're ending real soon. I think it's probably ending college football weekend. That's how it was at Nashville there. But we pretty much already have. If Palou doesn't wrap it up at Washington, bring the Astro Cup to up to Milwaukee because he's going to win it there. But there's one thing we really need to worry about, and that's the leader circle. Leader circle points, and Hinky 93 on X puts us out after every race. He does a great job with these. I absolutely love his graphics. He does a really, really good job with them. But looking at this leader circle, I look at this almost every week. The one that was borderline worrisome about 5 races ago was the number 6, the Aero McLaren number 6, which is Nolan Siegel. He was right there in 22nd. And we are looking at a potential for one of the big teams, ECR, to be out of the leader circle. And as you can read there at the top 22 get $1.6 million. So that's a pretty good investment into the team. And, like I said, he's only 6 points ahead of the number 4 of Caio Collet. So he's going to be racing hard for that. Now, the one good thing the 21 has going for him is he did win at Milwaukee last year. So we'll see if he can bring that magic again. He's really good on the ovals. So we'll see. But, I mean, you look at some of these drivers down here that are in 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I didn't think as many issues as poor Mick Schumacher's had this year, for him to be ahead of the 77 of Stingray Robb is pretty sad, to be honest with you. But your thoughts here on the leader circle, Josh?
I'm not as fascinated with it as you are, but you did bring it up, so it's really interesting. The fact that ECR car could end up being on the outside looking in and missing out on that $1.6 million. Seeing Stingray Robb all the way down there at the bottom, I mean, he could potentially make it back up there if he has, four great races somehow. I don't think that's going to happen. This is always an interesting thing because I forget about it a lot, and then you bring it back up, and it just it makes it all, seeing Dale Coyne Racing being up there, number 18, that $1.6 million would do wonders for Dale Coyne, I would imagine. Just bringing in the money and getting that sponsorship, correct?
Well, it's the $1.6 million, but both their cars this year are in it, the 18 and the 19. So last year, the 51 wasn't in it, so they didn't get that money last year. They just got it for the 18 because of Rinus VeeKay. But, yeah, to see both Dale Coyne cars up there, to see, a big team like Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, and AJ Foyt being on the outside looking in is definitely interesting. And then to see the 77 that far down compared to his teammate and, Rinus VeeKay as well as he's been running this year. He's sitting, 10th in the points. So it's pretty interesting to see how lopsided some of these teams are this year. But, yeah, I mean, there's one driver, he's sitting 16th there, Santino Ferrucci. He's made some headways, but this year the whole organization kind of just seems off a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what gets turned around over the off season for sure, because to see, I would say that 2 of the 3 teams that are there outside looking in on the leader circle, those are big name teams.
Oh yeah, definitely. AJ Foyt and Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. That is to have cars down there like that, and you're disappointed in those. The number 4 has a chance to get back up there, but seeing two iconic names down there, very disappointing. And I know the drivers got to feel like they're letting their team down. And I mean, I can't imagine being the number 4 car and having to look at AJ Foyt and not being able to get him that money if they can't improve beyond what they have right now.
Yes, something to definitely keep an eye on over the next 4 races, 3 weeks. That's going to be hard to kind of memorize. Knowing that we only have 3 weeks left in the season's just crazy to me. But I guess 3 racing weeks, and we kind of. No, I think we race all the way through, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep, no weeks off. We got four races, 3 weeks.
So we're just chugging live right along. That means our last episode will be just less than a month's time. So be a lot, and maybe we'll have some off-season shows because there's going to be a lot of silly season going on. Kind of goes right into our next point here. Some rumors I heard over the weekend. Mick Schumacher sounds like he will not be back at Rahal Letterman Lanigan. Obviously, they sold that charter to Dreyer Reinbold. So there's still some workings there to where Dreyer Reinbold might have like a technical partnership with Rahal Letterman Lanigan, which might actually help Rahal Letterman Lanigan, especially how fast Dreyer Reinbold have been on the ovals or on the oval of the Indy 500, and how terrible Rahal Letterman Lanigan have been over the last few years. One of the biggest rumors I heard, and it actually come out today, the number 66, or no, the number 60 car. Maybe it's the 66. One of the Meyershank cars. I've heard rumblings that Yuki Tsunoda, and if you don't know that name, Yuki Tsunoda is a Formula One driver who was a driver for Red Bull Racing. He was teammates with Max Verstappen last year and had a horrible year. He was a driver on Red Bull's sister team, or their junior team, which is it's called Visa Racing Bulls Cash App, or VCARB for short. But before that, it was AlphaTauri, and Yuki did really good on the junior side of things. But when he got to the big leagues with Max, he just didn't compete very well. So it'll be interesting to see if that transitions. Obviously, we have several former Formula One drivers in the series now, and they've done pretty well. Obviously, Marcus Ericsson winning this past weekend, and Grosjean on the podium as well. So be interesting to see. I think Josh and Derik and I will probably jump on here at some point over the off season to kind of do some breaking news items and talk about some of that. But our season is kind of winding down as well.
Yeah, it is, and there's most likely going to be some fixings going on, and not only in the IndyCar podcast, but we're going to be looking to improve our podcast and make it more enjoyable for our loving fans. I've got some ideas that we can go over. We're going to go over as the three of us to try to make this more enjoyable, get it more consistent. We got to get our numbers up. So not only in the Push to Pass podcast, but in the IndyCar series, there's going to be some changes, I would assume, coming up. So
yes, and with the season rolling right around, coming to an end, that means our points running is coming to an end as well, and it looks like with as diabolical as my drivers and picks have been, I think maybe my season is over, even though Josh and I are tied for the lead. And I know Derek's not here tonight, but he did make up a point. 1 point goes to Derik for picking Scott McLaughlin, who was the highest finisher. Josh, you were second. And somehow I get to pick last again. I think we're going to have to switch this up next year where the loser, gets to pick first, because, man, I have been having some terrible, terrible, terrible luck. I don't think I've scored a point since, I want to say, Long Beach. I don't think I've scored a point since Long Beach.
I've got an idea that I'm going to propose to the group in the off season to kind of mix it up a little bit. It's going to be it's going to prevent us from just picking front runners all the time. And a lot of times we're picking with somehow some way we're able to, even though we can only pick a driver once per year, we're being able to pick out of the top 5. So I've got an idea to propose to the group for next year. It's kind of like I'm proposing. It's a handicap type of system. It's like if let's say you pick a driver that starts in the back of the field. Seth starts 23rd. You pick a driver 23rd. You get a certain number of spots that would be added on to your driver. So let's say you pick a driver that starts 23rd, and we give you 10 spots. We spot you 10 spots, and your driver ends up in 13th. That would mean they would, in all essence, they would end up 3rd. If you gave them spots, it's kind of like it's a strategy, let's say 20 through 23, you get 10 spots. 15 to 19, you get 5 spots. And if you pick in the top 5, you get no spots. You finish wherever. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just a little confusing to an extent. I like just using the IndyCar point system, doing it how we do now, but we just get the points that you would get. So, for instance, for instance, you picked Hauger and he finished 13th or 14th, somewhere in that ballpark. I think, is that right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
So I think
you would get whatever points they got.
Yeah. So if he got 12 points or 14 points, or I don't even know how many points he ended up with, but that would be how you got it. So where did he? Oh gosh, he finished worse than that. He finished 15th. So for 15th, you would get 15th place points. That way, because right now 13 points. We've been running this all year, and we even added points this year. That's the crazy thing. We added the 5 bonus points for it.
Win.
So yeah, so we should be. I thought we'd have. I honestly thought someone would just take off, but it's still closer now than I think it was last year. So it's definitely going to be interesting. We'll have to definitely develop maybe a different system over the off season here to kind of add some more excitement to it, to be honest.
Honestly, I like your proposal better than mine. Mine was more on like a betting side. Yours is more a practical one that we can follow. And I mean, everybody would get points every week. It just depends, and I would say still stick with the only choosing a driver one time during the season.
Right, and then the 500, you're open to anything.
Yeah, so that sounds good to me. So, but congratulations to Derik. He was able to gain a point, and I mean, with 4 races left, he still has the opportunity to catch up with us. Joy still has the opportunity, so we shall see how it goes over the next 3 weeks.
Yes, and the crazy thing is looking at the drivers somehow that Derik still has left is I don't know how he still has some of these drivers left. He's got Joseph Newgarden. He's got Pato O'Ward. He's got Lundgaard. How does he still have those guys left?
I have no idea. I don't know. I have to go back and look every time just to figure out who I still have. So,
well, I try to update it for you guys as best as possible.
Oh, and I appreciate that. Yes.
So I mean, for me, it's like, holy cow! Like he has, you have Newgarden, you have, you have Award, you have Lundgaard as well. So I mean, you've got some heavy hitters. You finally lost Alex Palou, which that was a good one to get off the board. But we got some interesting stuff going on. But let's go on to Washington, because that's where we're going. We're going to Washington, and politics aside, I think this is going to be a good race. And I'm going to pull up the track map here. A 7-turn. It's a short course, and I'm glad they upped it to 250 laps, because I don't know why we would only have 225 laps or whatever. Like, just make it make sense. Doing 250 laps. I mean, call it the Freedom 250. This obviously was a late addition to the schedule. Now, whether you think what you think of the politics, we don't really care. Okay, this is a big event for IndyCar. It's on a national stage, obviously, and so many people. They're doing what? No, I thought
they're doing 100. They're doing 140 laps, which equals the 250. They weren't originally going to do 250 miles, but they updated it. That's what it is. So we're not actually doing 250 laps. We're doing 250 miles, which is how it should be with 140 laps, is what I believe at Josh Robertson 9026 is saying.
Okay, I thought this was you, to be honest, but okay, so I honestly thought we were doing 250 laps, so I guess they were
originally only going to do I think they were originally going to do like 220 miles. And then they finally said, "Hey, look, why are we doing that? Why don't we just add the extra, 30 miles?" So, but it is a short track, and it's going to go by some interesting things. The United States Capitol. It's going around the National Mall. So I think there's also the Smithsonian's going to be able to be seen in the background. Me and you were talking before that we wish you could see the White House. Going by the White House would have been fun, but I'm not sure if that would have been able to be incorporated into the track, because then you would have such spectators that would be that close to the White House, and safety issues. I'm not sure, but
yes, and thank you to the other Josh who's tuning in. Yes, it's 147 laps to be exact, 250 miles. So. Thanks for the update. For some reason, I had 250 laps. Maybe I just wanted more racing. But it's going to be a very, very interesting race. And yes, no matter what your politics are, I think this is big for IndyCar. I think being on primetime Fox, the race starts at I think the pre-show starts at 11:30. So. It's a little early, but I think it's going to have some good viewership. And from what I've heard, they're going to have it to be somewhat similar to the Indy 500 build. So I think it's going to be good for the fans for sure.
Yeah, I think Danica Patrick and Mike Tirico are going to be on for the for the pre-race, and a bunch of they'll pull out all the stops. They'll get everybody they can. Anybody they can. Maybe they'll get Jaden Daniels down there, and he can send cease and desist letters of them being able to use his name and likeness. If you're an NFL fan or a college fan, you'll get that, but not a lot of people will. But it's going to be an interesting race. I can't wait for it. I don't know if this one will be brought back next year, just because this is a 250 years of America, and that's why they're doing it. So it's going to be fun. It's an interesting. It's a one-off, I would imagine. I can't imagine they're going to go back next year, though.
Yeah, I do believe that this is just going to be a one-off race, but I'm really excited for it. New track. We always clamor on here for new tracks. So we got a new track. So we'll just have to see how how it races, and hopefully it's complete before we get there on Friday. So, Josh, do you have anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here tonight?
No, not tonight. I want to thank Michael for getting on here and giving up his precious time. And I know he wants to be in bed right now because 2 o'clock comes early in the morning for him. And I thank
I cut into your
every
time.
Oh, I
cut into your time. We wanted to be off here by 8:10, 8:15. So you can't let me talk too much because then I cut into the time. But I think that's everything for this evening. We want to thank all our viewers, and we want to let you know you can follow us on Facebook, X, YouTube, and you can listen to this podcast later on throughout the week on any of the major podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, I think Amazon now. It's just everywhere. Wherever you find your podcasts, we're on there. So until next week, we'll be back Monday, 7 p.m. Right here on Facebook, YouTube, X, and then later on in the week on all your various platforms that you get your podcasts. So we will be back next week, 7 p.m.
See you guys next week.